Jay. It's nice to see you in here again. I actually didn't think I was going to do anything tonight, and then I thought, what the heck? I'll do something. Tuesdays is my evening shift at the library, so I don't have to go in as early. And so I thought, I'll do a little later live stream this time. Uh, give you guys a little treat. Well, it might not be really a treat for some of you. I'm not sure how many we'll have in here tonight. But Jay, like I said, I'm glad that you're in here. And I kind of left the movie that I was going to be talking about. Well, Wes, actually, I'm going to get to that. And I was going to say, I kind of left it, questionable, to keep you guessing from the picture that was associated with this live stream. But hey, Brad, but if you're in here now, you can tell by the pictures behind me what movie I must be talking about. So, yes, Wes, I am going to talk about Terror on Tour. So, if this film makes you nauseous to think about it, I just know this is awful, guys. I got something in my teeth, which is not real good to be on camera with something on your teeth. Actually, I was eating some of my Bloody Valentine cupcakes that I made, and I think some of the chocolate got in my teeth. So please excuse me if you see a little chocolate in my teeth. I'm going to start brushing my teeth before these live streams. Jay, I'm trolling everybody with this. I don't know. But actually, what I wanted to show you guys, for those of you that do not get on Facebook or maybe aren't my friend on Facebook, I did want to show you my Bloody Valentine cupcakes that pretty much was an idea that I came up with myself. There are recipes out there online that talk about my Bloody Valentine cupcakes, but they weren't exactly what I wanted to, the kind that I wanted to make. Some of them had sugar glass in them, and those were really cool, but they weren't actually what I wanted to make. I wanted to make some with little miniature pickaxes in them, like the miner killer used in My Bloody Valentine. So I was able to find through Amazon, in case anybody's interested in making their own My Bloody Valentine cupcakes. Actually, I think Steve would kill me if I made My Bloody Valentine themed cabinets. That would be awesome, though. I'm lucky he let me do what I am doing to it, and that he let me paint the walls a color that we both could agree on. I'm really trying to get whatever that is off of my tooth, so you guys don't have to stare at that the whole time. I'm sorry to be picking at my teeth, but that is really disgusting. It looks a little better, but somehow I got chocolate from those cupcakes really in my teeth. But anyway, I'm going to quit talking about my teeth and go on with this. Wes, you think I should fix Terror on Tour turnips? Why turnips? Because nobody likes turnips, dang 'em. Yeah, but I am going to remain unfazed, Wes Vance. I mean, no matter what you throw at me tonight, I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to be like the Energizer Bunny. I'm just going to go and go and go. So, back to the My Bloody Valentine cupcakes, which people might actually be more interested in than the movie I'm going to talk about. Um, so I was able to find on Amazon there were pencils um, that had pickaxe, like eraser toppers on them. And that was basically the only kind of miniature looking pickaxes I could find. And the pencil itself did look like the handle on a pickaxe. So what I did whenever I got them in, pencils are a little long. And I wanted the handle on the pickaxe to be a little bit shorter. And so what I did was I broke off like the extra length, and then I used wood grain duct tape to wrap around the end so you didn't poke yourself on the end and didn't get lead in you, didn't get lead in the cupcakes or anything like that. I wrapped that end up real good. And then I basically baked some homemade chocolate cupcakes. I had the silicone molds, which were heart shaped, and I put the mix in there and I baked them. Actually, the recipe for the cupcakes I got from the Hershey's website, which these were actually used whenever I made the Hershey's miniature chocolate cupcakes. But in this case, I just used that mix in the silicone molds. I baked them, let them cool, of course, because you don't want your icing melting. Then I got some buttercream icing mix and mixed in red food coloring in there, made a nice red color, iced the cupcakes, put edible glitter on them, and also something called cake drip, which is vanilla flavored, but it's red, and I made it look like oozing blood on the top of the cupcakes. And then I simply stuck the pickaxe blade down in the cupcakes. Now I sent a cupcake to work with Steve in a nice little black box with some red tissue paper, and I had it real fancy. Of course, he made me take the fake pickaxe out because he said it wasn't edible, and so I maybe he was too embarrassed to take it to work. I have no idea. But for whatever reason, I took the pickaxe out and just sent the cupcake itself with him to work. Which, of course, in Steve's nice way, he told me that it was dry. A little dry, but it was good. And I think that was because some air got to it, because I guess instead of putting it in this box with a window on it, I guess I should have put it in a airtight container, because the ones that weren't in those little boxes stayed pretty moist. So, but whatever. But anyway, I'll show you guys a picture of them for those of you that either don't have Facebook or are not my friend on Facebook, and you can see how they turned out there. They were sitting on the wire rack in my kitchen. Jay, you said, did Steve agree to painting the walls Gimser tan or Lindbergh white? Well, actually, I painted them. What was it, like moon swept something, or I don't know. It's like a bluish green, like a teal color, which I really like. And my mom, of course, told me, she said, Daniel, that's going to make your kitchen look dark. And Steve basically said the same thing. But I had the same freaking colored walls in my kitchen for 8 years, and I thought it was time for a change. But anyway, there's the cupcakes. If anybody comes in here later and wants to see them, I'll bring them back up, but I'm not going to leave them up the whole entire live stream. But as I said just a little bit earlier, I am going to be talking about Terror on Tour. And I love this movie so much that I haven't had a chance to hook it up and get started, monkeying around with stuff. Those look great, dangerous work for a diabetic. Yeah, actually, Jay, normally I would have used a sugar substitute, like the Splenda sugar blends that you can use, but in this case, I didn't have any in the house, and so I have to be really careful. I can't just go whole hog and eat a whole bunch of them. I'll eat one here and there for a snack or something. Uh, but they are pretty tasty. You know, if you like chocolate and you like buttercream icing or frosting, um, then yeah, I would say you would probably like them. I was very pleased with how they turned out, considering that it was a, you know, just something I come up with like a few days before Valentine's Day, and I thought, well, if I can get the stuff in, I will make them Sunday, and I did. I stayed up a little later probably than I should have last night, and made those cupcakes. Um, but anyway, back to I was talking about I had just purchased a Blu-ray burner, some Blu-ray cases. I would get them, but they're behind me, and of course they're behind my green screen stuff. So I was gonna try not to get up. And you guys probably aren't interested with how that looks anyway. But I got some Blu-ray cases. I got some BD discs, and one of the first little experiments I'm gonna do is getting the best quality copy of Terror on Tour that I can get. Hey, Dirk. And I'm going to put it on a Blu-ray disc. You know, I realize that's not entirely legal, but I'm not going to be selling these. This is primarily going to be for me until they come out with something professional. And there's, you know, I'm going to put the commentary Steve and I did, probably the video commentary we did. There's a few other things that I'm going to put on this Blu-ray disc. And I'm going to see how it goes. And then if that one goes well, I may see about making some other Blu-rays of things that have not been put out on Blu-ray just yet. But you may be thinking, and I'm sure Wes has been thinking for years, because ever since I first met Wes and Aaron at a convention, we have bantered back and forth. Hey, Darren. We have bantered back and forth about, you know, they make fun of me because I like this, in their terms, horrible movie. But there's several movies, you know, that I like and they think are horrible. I don't know how Wes feels about He Knows You're Alone, but I know Aaron told me one time it was like watching old people eat. Final Exam, they don't care for. And I like it. Mainly, the thing with Final Exam that I like is that you get to know several likable characters before the bad stuff starts happening. And I don't care that there seems to be no motive for the killer. I mean, it's a slasher movie. What, you know, we don't have to have motives all the time. The 80s Scream movie, you know, Wes, I don't think I've actually seen that one just yet. I may have to check with Steve and see if he's got it on a hard drive somewhere, or heck, maybe he's even got a legit copy of it. I don't know. Wes, I think I have seen the Deadly Games movie. Were you the one that was asking Steve about that, or was that somebody else during his live stream? Because he was talking about like girls playing softball and they get assaulted and all that stuff, and that is actually Blood Games, if I remember correctly. And that Blood Games is a Blu-ray that I bought not very long ago. Darren, you say you like all the bad slashers to some degree. Yeah, I'm like that too, just because they're fun. And we're going to get into Terror on Tour and some of the main reasons why I like it. Deadly Games is really boring. But Darren, refresh my memory. Is Deadly Games the one that's got Steve Railsback in it? Because that's what I was thinking it was, but I may have that confused with something else. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't talking out of my butt. Deadly Games has Steve Railsback in it. Okay. Yeah, it's been a little while since I've watched that one, and I can see where people would think it was a little boring because it is very slow. That is one bad thing that I will say about Deadly Games is that it's very slow and must have gotten a message on Facebook, but I don't really have time to check that now. So I hope it's not one of my potential live stream people. Dick Butkus is in it too. I don't remember that, but I did think that Steve Railsback was in it. Yeah, the one with the dice on the cover. It's been ages since I've seen it. Um, and I don't know, something else about that movie that kind of bothers me, but you know what? I don't hate it so much that I probably that won't keep me from buying it because isn't it supposed to? Yeah, Arrow recently came out with it on Blu-ray. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was really considering, actually getting it, and you guys can laugh at me if you want, but I do agree with Darren that, well, I can understand why people would call it boring because it is very slow, and it takes quite a while to get started. Um, Dirk, you say, what did y'all think about Under the Skin? Just did a blind buy because it was cheap and Chris Nelson recommended it. I'm trying to remember Under the Skin, and I'm having a hard time remembering that one. I mean, the title sounds familiar, but I can't visualize it for some reason. Brad, you say Deadly Games that Arrow put out from the early 80s. Just brought it from Arrow, not good. Can't wait to sell it, lol. I think the first time I saw Deadly Games was there used to be a seller on eBay that went by the screen name of Bloodwave DVD, and they would put out these totally not legit copies of movies with really bad covers printed on them and stuff. But at that time, there were several of these movies that I kind of wanted to see, but they weren't being put out by any of the companies just yet. Now it seems like they put anything and everything out. Um, and so I could get a bunch of them real cheap from this guy. And I believe Deadly Games was one of them. Uh, Wes, you say Death Screams is way better in your opinion. I love Death Screams. That's another movie I love. Jay, you're thanking Brad for the warning. Darren, you say, I will get it and give it another go. Arrow will do a good job with the extras. Yeah, sometimes, a movie can be really bad, but I would be willing to buy it for the extras, depending on what those extras are. Um, Under the Skin has Scarlett Johansson in it. Golly, that seems so familiar, but I can't really. I'll have to get back to you on that one because the title sounds very familiar. The fact that Scarlett Johansson's in it, but I just cannot pinpoint it for some reason. Uh, Brad, you say if Jay wants to thank you, then please buy your coffee off eBay. It probably depends, Brad, on how much you're selling it for. Um, which one's not that old, West? The Under the Skin movie? Yeah, if it's the one I'm thinking of, I didn't think it was very old. But I think I made a mistake coming back here to this cold room, and I have no socks on, and I have a tank top on. So, excuse me for showing my old arms, and they're bruised up where I've gave insulin shots. I bruise myself inadvertently sometimes. Oh, you want my thoughts, Wes, on Twisted Nightmare? Well, Twisted Nightmare is one of those ones that's a little slow to get started and a little confusing. I'll be honest, I was never really sure what exactly was going on in that film. Because you have the scene, or you have several scenes where the main girl is talking about her brother, and that it seems like he spontaneously combusted years ago in a barn or something, and then there's a Native American twist to it. I mean, I like it. I think some of the characters are overly obnoxious, especially the one muscle bound guy who's sort of, well, he's pretty much an asshole in it. I think some of the people are just kind of overblown, not really good actors at all in the movie. But some of the kills are good, and it's worth a watch. It's just not one of my all-time favorites. Jay, you say, Brad, sorry, just bought some arrow titles this week. Curly Jaws, you say, just subscribed. Thank you. I'm always on the lookout for more new subscribers. Darren, you say you like Twisted Nightmare. Think it was shot the same location as Friday 13th Part 3. I think you're right there. I mean, a lot of the locations look very, very similar to Friday 13th Part 3. Oh, Lord. Oh, Curly Jaws. Man. Hostel 2. I didn't even like the first Hostel. I mean, if you want to talk about Eli Roth movies that I didn't like and kind of started my downward trend with Eli Roth movies, Hostel did it. For me, anyway. I much preferred Cabin Fever. Brad, you say, seriously though, it's a mediocre slasher. The Scan, in my opinion, wasn't good either. I just watched The Beast Within, 1981, from Arrow, which is an older release, looked way better. Seen that one, Dana? Yes, I have seen The Beast Within. I love The Beast Within. Great monster transformation scene. Great kills, great bloody, gory kills in this one. I want to say I watched that for the first time back in my VHS days, when I was renting a lot of horror VHS from the video store, from the local video stores around town, and then it was years later that the first time I ever saw Joe Bob Briggs on Monster Vision. Now, before that, I didn't even know who Joe Bob Briggs was, and I was channel surfing late one night and came across Monster Vision. This guy was talking about The Beast Within. I was like, who's this guy? And from then on out, I became a huge fan of Joe Bob Briggs. But I absolutely love The Beast Within. I have the release, I think, that Scream Factory put out, and it had some good extras. They talked to Paul Clemens that played the main character in the movie, and I think maybe he does some commentary too. But it's really, really good. Highly recommend that one. Curly Jaws, you say, I loved Hostel. That's my favorite horror film of all time. Ooh, I don't know. I mean, to each his own. You know, I'm up here talking about Terror on Tour, so I can't not judge anybody else's taste in movies. Um, yeah, I think that's why Steve likes Hostel 2 so much, Darren, because of Edwidge Fennick. Because he every time he mentions Hostel 2, he talks about her. Dark, you say Beast Within was great. I remember seeing how many countries it was banned in on the cover of my local video time. See, I don't think, I guess the version I rented years and years ago um, didn't have anything like that on it. But there were other movies that I rented, like, for example, Cannibal Ferox, under the title of Make Them Die Slowly, that had that banned in so many countries. And if I saw that, it was guaranteed. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I was going to rent it if I saw that on the cover. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say you want to watch a good slasher film, watch Bloody Bloody Bible Camp. It's on Tubi. I think Steve has that on one of the hard drives, but I've never actually sat down and watched it. But the title sounds, I mean, it weirdly calls to me, just the title. Um, but you guys go ahead and keep putting stuff in the chat. I will be glancing at the chat periodically as I'm talking, but I think probably Wes is trying to keep me from talking about Terror on Tour for as long as he possibly can. I can't resist the ballyhoo. Well, heck no. But let me just talk a little bit about why I love this movie and why I think it's a decent slasher. It's not going to win any awards, no. But I don't know. The top thing that makes this likable for me is it's fun. I've heard people call it slow. Of course, they say the print's too dark. You can't see anything. But there was one print that me and Steve found on YouTube. Not the one where we did the watch along. That print was horrible. That was taken from that must have been taken from a third generation VHS. But I think back when we did our, video commentary of it, we had a pretty good print pulled from YouTube. It was probably the best I'd ever seen that movie look. And as far as I know, this movie has never been put out on DVD or anything like that. But honestly, I don't find it slow. I find it okay. The pacing to me is okay in it. I mean, really early on, you have a kill every few minutes or so, and the movie's not that long, anyways. I mean, it's not any longer than 90 minutes, and maybe just under 90 minutes. Brad, you say The Beast Within is great. Same effects guys who did The Howling did The Beast Within, same year too. Darren, you say I got that Bloody Bible Camp DVD but never seen it. I will check it out for sure. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say hands down the greatest slasher of all time is Hatchet 2, in my opinion. Well, let me ask you, oh Curly Jaws, have you seen Terror on Tour? Because I take a lot of flack for this movie, and I'm trying to get more people to watch it. Now I'm pretty sure that Wes has seen it. I don't think Wes is talking out of his butt about it or anything. I believe he has seen it, or at least seen the majority of it. Where'd she say, oh, Curly Jaw smells what Danielle's cooking in that film? Oh, man. But I was hoping Aaron would join us tonight, but he may be busy, doing other things, spending time with his family and stuff. So, or it could be working. Who knows? I don't know. Well, she say you had the VHS of it. Well, I thought you did, but you have watched it all, right? Uh, oh, Curly Jaws, you say never seen it. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, definitely, because I want to hear some other opinions on it. It could be that everybody on the planet hates it, but me. Um, Aaron is at a JoJo concert tonight, laughing my ass off. Is he really at a JoJo concert? I mean, again, to each his own. If that's what he wants to be doing. Jay, you say I want to make fun of Dana for liking Terror on Tour, but own more than two Jess Franco films. Well, she say unfortunately I've seen all of it. Um, oh, Curly Jaws, you want to know what's your favorite Hellraiser film? Mine was Hellworld Part 8. The first one. I liked the first two, and I could have, took it or left it, after part two. The first two do it for me, but the original Hellraiser, um, is a really cool film in my opinion. It hits all those horrific buttons on me, and I think it's a really well made film, and just just sleazy enough where it doesn't turn you off, but it seems to add something to the film with the Frank character. You know what? Oh, Curly Jaws, I don't even think I've seen Hell World. Yeah, I stopped watching them about like midway through 'em. My cousin, you guys are probably gonna laugh, but some of you know that I have a cousin named Jed, um, and he used to be my movie watching buddy. He would come over to when I was living with my mom and dad. He would come over on the weekends, like Saturday or Sunday, and bring a bunch of movies, and we would watch part his movies and part mine. We'd have lunch and stuff like that, and then like after he got his license, he would, you know, take me and a bunch of his other friends and stuff, and we'd go to movies. That's how I saw the Kill Bill for the first time and stuff like that. He took me to an Aerosmith concert where Cheap Trick opened for him, which was awesome. But I'm kind of getting off the topic of the movie here. Uh, oh, Curly Georgie say this is my favorite. My second favorite is Revelations. Judgment is my third. Well, she say, "Oh, Curly Jaws isn't breaking kayfabe house." Oh man. Well, she needed to tell Aaron to quit going to JoJo concerts and be in my live streams. Um, so, Wes, since we're talking about Terror on Tour, Aaron and I were actually talking about doing a commentary for Terror on Tour if we could get everybody together to do it. Of course, Steve claims he never wants to see that movie ever, ever, ever again. So he probably will not be joining us, but I asked Aaron if maybe Savannah wanted to get in on the commentary, if we could all get together and do it. And maybe Sarah, even though she would probably think this movie was really stupid, maybe Sarah would want to be on it. Um, Dirk, you say, I wonder how old Curly ranks the human centipedes. Oh, Lord. He probably likes them if we're basing it on what the other movies he's mentioned. I watched the first Human Centipede and I was done after that. To me, sewing somebody face to ass and having their feces go into somebody else's mouth. That's just, I mean, that's just gross. I mean, that to me, that's not horrific. It's just gross. And what's the point? But that's my opinion. There might be some people that do consider that horror and like it, and like I say, to each his own. Um, Curly Jaws, you say, Dana, if you want to watch a great Bigfoot movie, watch Assault of the Sasquatch. That's better than Boggy Creek. um, I like Legend of Boggy Creek and the second one as well, but uh, a movie. If you want to see a movie that's more creepy, did by the same guy, The Evictors. That movie, for whatever reason, creeped me out. And I also like The Town That Dreaded Sundown as well. I actually like the original and the remake of that one. Human Centipede is underrated as hell. Well, like I said, old Curly Jaws, if that's your thing, if you're into that, I say to each his own, and live and let live and all that stuff. But I just didn't find it, in my opinion, to be a horror movie. I just found it to be some sick, kinky mess. But that's me. Well, she said, we did Seed of Chucky commentary, so why not? Seed of Chucky's about as bad as it gets. So, Wes, are you saying Seed of Chucky is worse than Terror on Tour? Have we actually found a movie you think is worse than Terror on Tour? Or do you think maybe they're on the same level? Well, if you want to do it, I'd be glad to get together with you and Aaron and all our significant others if we can get them on there. I think, the more the merrier. It'd be awesome. Well, she said the first Human Centipede is a great movie, the others no. I didn't even like the first one. I mean, I don't really know what I was expecting, but I think what I did was I fed into the hype of that movie. And I should never do that, because when you feed into the hype of movies, you're usually let down. See, I didn't feed into the hype of Blair Witch Project when it first came out, and I tried to stay away from all the hype because I was afraid it would ruin it for me. But I think I listened to too much glorifying hype about the Human Centipede and how horrifying it was and all that, and I was like, well, since people are saying this, maybe I should give it a try. But I would never ever go back and watch that movie again. I seen Darren, you put drunken commentary. Maybe if I was drunk, I would, or had THC gummy in me or something. But Darren, you say you should do a drunken Terror on Tour, drunken commentary for Terror on Tour with Dana and UB. That would be awesome. Of course, Steve probably wouldn't partake of if the rest of us drank. I don't think Steve would, because Steve is pretty much, believe it or not, Steve has pretty much give up the booze. Me, I've got several different things in the refrigerator now. Not that I'm drinking all of it at one time, but so, Wes, you don't drink much anymore either. See, I'm not a lush. I don't want anybody to think that I'm a lush or anything. I just, like yesterday, and Steve thought I was crazy. Yesterday, I wanted to get some Moosehead beer, and I was just going to drink one, And I didn't even know if I would like it, but that is the beer that you see on My Bloody Valentine. And I just wanted to drink one in honor of Paul Kelman, who passed away recently, who was the lead in My Bloody Valentine. Um, and unfortunately, I couldn't find any, or couldn't find any at the Liquor Barn Express. Even though online it said that they had it, the guy that I asked about it in there, he said, "Is there anything I can help you find?" I said, "Well, I'm looking for Moosehead." And he said, "Oh, I don't think we have that." He said, "I don't think we have any Canadian beer." Um, so that was a wash. But I did drink my Fireball whiskey, so I said I didn't drink Canadian beer, but I drank a little bit of Fireball Canadian whiskey in honor of Paul Kelman yesterday. Um, and that's okay, Wes. If you don't want to drink or don't feel like drinking, that is perfectly fine. Um, Dirk, you said that happened in Texarkana, and I live about 45 minutes from there. Every year they have an anniversary viewing of the town that dreaded sundown to drive in there in Texarkana. That's really cool. I've been to Texas. I went to Austin, Texas with Steve back when we were dating, like 2011, I believe. Um, we went to Austin, Texas for a few days and went to the Alamo Draft House, which was awesome. We visited some of the places that were highlighted in Death Proof. Although we found out pretty quickly that the inside of these different places, the Texas Chili Parlor and Guero's, the inside was actually filmed in the studio, probably Troublemaker Studios, I would imagine, because it looked nothing like the inside of what it was supposed to be like on the movie. But the outside was obviously filmed from the outside of the restaurants, because it did look just like that. And Steve and I took plenty of pictures and stuff like that. And if anybody ever wants to see them that didn't get to see them way back when we did that, I could probably bring them up on here or something at some point. Wes, you say Steve likes the gummies. He does, Wes. He's kind of pretty much switched from the alcohol to the gummies. The gummies are what he has on the weekends. Um, Jay, you say a drunken master too commentary. Dirk, you said I had to quit drinking. I'm allergic. I break out in handcuffs. Uh-oh, yeah. You know, you can get in trouble if you're not careful. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say My Bloody Valentine remake was amazing. Yeah, we had a discussion about the My Bloody Valentine remake, and the only thing I wish about the My Bloody Valentine remake is I wish I had gotten to see it in 3D at the theater, just for the novelty of the 3D, not because I think the film was any great piece of cinematic genius or anything. Um, and you say, I'm currently trying to find every copy of Hostel that was ever released on DVD, Blu-ray, anything so far. eBay has been great finding these titles, imports from England, Canada, Japan. You must really love that movie, old Curly Jaws. Um, no, Wes, I don't hate the My Bloody Valentine remake, but I'm not eager to watch it again. Uh, I had the 1981 My Bloody Valentine playing in the background on the on my Echo device in the kitchen while I was making the cupcakes last night. But I don't hate the remake. I just I don't think I have any feelings either way about that remake. I'm just I saw it like one or two times and just I'm just not interested in watching it again. Oh, but I love Tom Atkins as well. Darren, you say I saw the My Bloody Valentine, the cinema in 3D. I liked it, although the ending was kind of generic. Yeah, I think sometimes with those 3D movies, sometimes that happens. They some of them seem a little bit too gimmicky and too generic and all of that. Mainly, I guess, because they're trying to focus so much on the 3D aspect of the film that a lot of other things fall by the wayside a little bit. Or that's just my opinion. Um, so, does anybody? I mean, Wes, you can go ahead and throw some more things at me about Terror on Tour, but for those of you that have seen Terror on Tour, even if it's only the you've watched it with the commentary Steve and I did, or you were in the watch along with us. I just want other people's opinions on what you think about the movie. And if you hate it, great. If you love it, great. If you just like it, that's great too. I just want to hear everybody's. I just wanted to get like a rolling conversation here about Terror on Tour, and we can also talk about other stuff too. But I am going to keep an eye on the time because I didn't want to keep people in here too awfully long. But this is we got quite a few people in here, and there might be more people that are maybe lurking and watching. And when I say lurking, I'm not trying to give a bad connotation to lurking. It's just some people don't feel comfortable coming in here and chatting. They would rather just sit and watch the video. Uh, oh, Curly Jaws, you say, I feel like that my body or My Bloody Valentine really could have launched a franchise. And it could have. But I don't know if that would have really been a good thing for it to have kind of spawned a franchise. I just don't know. Durkee said the twist didn't wow me and was pretty obvious. Well, she said I felt that they could have made a franchise out of the remake. I'm surprised they didn't do that. Yeah, I'm really surprised they didn't do that as well, Wes. Durkee said I could see that. Darren, you said I'm surprised The Burning didn't get a remake. Yeah, but there's still plenty of time for them to do a remake, sadly, and I'm almost scared to see what they would do with a remake of The Burning. Jay, you say that me and Steve talking over Terror on Tour was the best part of Terror on Tour. Sorry, Dana. No, that's good. That's great. I ribbed Wes and Aaron about it, and they ribbed me about it. But it's all in good fun. I don't see anything malicious in anybody saying, I'm not going to get my panties in a bunch because somebody doesn't like every movie that I like. This stuff between me and Wes and Aaron, I consider just good natured ribbing, we just joke around about it. But Jay, you were in there. I'm assuming that you were in there for the watch along. I was. Darren can attest to this because I think he was amused that the more I drank, the crazier I got towards the end of that watch along. But I don't think I got as bad as I did the first commentary that me and Steve did for Terror on Tour, because we actually did one before the video one, and definitely before the watch along, where I got completely trashed towards the end. And when it got to the credits, I was saying stuff like F stop means fuck stop, and I was just out of my head. I don't think I got that bad when we did the watch along recently. But I was just having a good time, I guess. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, damn, Hostel 2 is probably more brutal than the first one so far. 9 out of 10. Eli Roth, the Burning remake needs to happen. Wes, you say the Burning remake could possibly be great. There's a lot of room for improvement. Yeah, Wes, I agree. There is a lot of room for improvement in a lot of these movies, but are they going to improve it, or are they going to make it worse? It's just like they could have. There could have been room for improvement, even though the 1978 John Carpenter classic Halloween is perfect in my opinion in and of itself. They could have done so much better with these like Halloween Kills and stuff like that. But they didn't. They just, I don't know what they were trying to do with it. I mean, when you hear interviews with the director of like Halloween Kills, he sounds like a major fanboy. But if you're a major fanboy, why would you? He hasn't tarnished the original Halloween by any stretch of the imagination. But why would he want to make something so insanely horrible if you're a fan of the original Halloween? I just don't see it. And I don't know why Jamie Lee Curtis would want to attach herself to something like that. Maybe somebody can shed some light on that for me. Darren, you say it's good with all. We all have different opinions. Life would be boring otherwise. That is exactly right. Hey, John, you say you love Valentine from 2001. Valentine was one I talked about in one of my earlier live streams I did a few days ago about my 3 favorite Valentine's horror films. I have a greater appreciation for that film now than I did the first time I watched it. The first time I watched it, I didn't like it that much. In fact, I'd probably say I hated it. And I actually got rid of my DVD I had of it. Now I wish I hadn't gotten rid of the DVD. Of course, Steve has a copy of it I can watch. Let's see. Dirk, you say Eli Roth should write a TCM script and let Zombie direct it. Ooh. But that kind of makes me curious to see what would happen if that did actually occur. Wes, you say, reminds me, whatever happened to the Tarot 10 Killer commentary? See, now I'm going to have to look on my phone because, like, the last few commentaries Steve and I have done, I believe, have been recorded on my phone. So I'm just having a complete brain block. I can't even recall if we did one. I know I wanted to do one. So I'll have to get back to you on that, Wes. Jay, you say tearing up because there's other people out there who can bust balls, have fun, and not get butt hurt because we all don't like the same things. It's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I consider the stuff that I say to Wes and Aaron and the stuff they say back to me good-natured ribbing, and I don't take any offense from it. So, yeah, it is great when you can get together with a group of people and people can just feel free to throw movies out there. We can all laugh, or we can say, hey, we all think it's great, Darren, you say Terror at 10 Killer could turn you to Dragon. I agree. Terror at 10 Killer is not a good movie. But Riff Tracks did a great commentary for Terror at 10 Killer. If you've never listened to their commentary for it, you definitely should try to get a copy of it because it's hilarious. It's one of my favorites that they've done. Even better than The Last Slumber Party, which the commentary they did for that is good as well. Steve and I did a commentary for Last Slumber Party a while back. Steve can tell you that's a pretty bad movie as well. Curly Jaws, you say, I love the Rob Zombie Halloween the best, and part two is even better. Halloween from the 70s, okay, a little overrated. Mm, well, okay, I'll just ask you this, Curly Jaws. So why do you think, what makes you think that it's overrated? Uh, I want somebody else's take on it. Because I think I'm too much of a fan of Halloween from 1978 that I might not be able to give an objective opinion on that. Dirk, you say I rank Halloween Kills fourth of the franchise. Interesting. Wes, you say Terror at 10 Killer is the ultimate Vinegar Syndrome 4K. Well, heck, they're putting everything else out on Blu-ray and 4K. I want my Terror on Tour. I want Terror at 10 Killer. I want The Last Slumber Party. Come on. I want Final Exam on 4K. Dirk, you say, haven't seen it. I'll have to check it out now. Is it good or so bad it's good? If you're talking about Terror at 10 Killer, it's so bad it's good. It's one of those. Wes, you say, Steve is trying to put together a watch party for the new Chainsaw movie on Friday. Is he really? He didn't even tell me he was doing that. He never tells me anything, though, of course. Darren, you say it's so bad, it's bad. Darky say, cool, I'll be there, ready to see where the Saw goes. Curly Jaws, you say, I feel like the film is overrated because it's the most talked about Halloween. Nothing outbeats it, which I find not true. Yes, some of the shots in the film are great, but the film is definitely slow. Okay, I think that's well thought out, and real. I mean, I'm not being facetious or anything. I think you really explained that well. What else you say? Ye Dead Pit Boys are on the new Madman 4K. I think. Is that Wes? Is that on pre-order right now? I want to say Steve pre-ordered it. Curly Jaws, you say the new Chainsaw looks amazing. Dark, you say that's cool, Wes. Weren't you guys on the Blu-ray as well? I'm just wondering if this is different footage or is it the same as what was on the Blu-ray? But I'm going to talk a little bit more about Terror on Tour, but you guys feel free to keep. It shows there are 1,000 Madman 4Ks left. I almost hesitant to say that I might order me a copy of it because y'all are thinking, oh my God, she's ordering the same thing Steve's got again. But, you know, as I've said before, I am not in any way, shape, or form planning on divorcing Steve. But we never know what's going to happen. And so if a movie I really, really like comes out, regardless of whether Steve buys it or not, I'm going to get my own copy. Call me stupid if you want. But like I said, I love Steve and I'm not planning on leaving him. But we never know what the future holds for any of us. And so I consider my movies and his movies his movies. We borrow each other's movies sometimes if there's one that one of us has that the other doesn't have. But our movie collections are pretty much separate here at the house. What did you say we were? But we get a shout out on the actual box this time. Pretty sweet. Also, they're including more material, I think. Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing all that. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, but Rob Zombie's Howling is terrifying and brutal. Looks really good. In my opinion, Scout Taylor Compton is a better Laurie than Jamie Lee Curtis. Um, well, I think that's well thought out too, oh Curly Jaws. But what I think about it is, it seemed like they tried to go, or Rob Zombie tried to go overboard with trying to make Scout Taylor Compton's Laurie um, vulgar and more sexual and all that stuff. And I just didn't think that that was needed. Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie wasn't Lily White either. She said shit and stuff like that, and she smoked pot, and she still made it out alive out of that movie. Um, so, and also, I thought Rob Zombie made the mistake of he has to make everything so brutal. The Michael Myers character had to be pretty much abused and bullied and all that. To me, I think it was scarier to leave all that stuff out. We don't have to know why Michael Myers started killing people, why Michael Myers killed his sister when he was a kid. I think it makes it more scary if we don't know. Um, and I like Rob Zombie's movies that he made on his own, like House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, stuff like that. It's not that I dislike all of Rob Zombie's movies, but he has to have that white trash sensibility in every single movie he makes. And I just don't think that that's necessary in something like Halloween. Um, Perhaps it's necessary in House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects or something like that. Uh, well, she said we were going to do a Madman commentary sometime this summer, maybe with special guests. Ooh, I'm looking forward to that. Um, well, she say, Dirk, they were scared we would tell everybody. Darren, you say, I hope they include the Dead Pit audio interviews on the 4K. Yeah, that would be cool too. Um, well, yeah, I see what you're saying, Lords of Salem, but I didn't like Lords of Salem either for a lot of other reasons. But yeah, it didn't have that white trash sensibility in that one. I thought I was gonna like Lords of Salem, but as the movie went on, I was just like, no. And the masturbating, whatever they were, monks or whatever they were, I don't even understand half of that stuff. And I'll tell you what really scared me about Lords of Salem was how poor old Meg Foster looked in that movie. I didn't even know the woman until I saw her name in the credits. It's like, what the heck happened? Um, oh, Curly Jaws, you say Rob Zombie was supposed to do a remake of The Blob. I bet he could probably throw that white trash stuff into The Blob. Um, Dirk, you say, seems like they'd want y'all to get more sales. Mm-hmm. Oh wow! I can't believe that old Curly Jaws is saying Lords of Salem did suck. Well, it had promise at the beginning, but somewhere along the line it went off the rails, in my opinion. Um, John Martin, you say nothing wrong with the slow burn. The original builds to a great ending. Very scary. Howling 78 all day. Turkey a priest with popsicles. Ah. Well, she say Steve loved Lords of Salem, Priest Peters are his thing. Uh, I don't know about that, all that, Wes, but oh, Curly Jaws, you say sorry when you start spitting on a baby. That's where I'm just like, no. Wes, you want to know what me and Curly Jaws think of 31? I personally didn't like 31. I tried to, I tried to like it. I just couldn't. Um, it just, I don't think there was anything bad about it per se. It just, the plot and everything just wasn't my cup of tea, to be honest. But my mom didn't like, she didn't like House of a Thousand Corpses, and she didn't like, and I don't even think she watched Devil's Rejects. Of course, my mom didn't like Death Proof and stuff like that either. So my mom's pretty old school when it comes to her movies. This new stuff that like Tarantino and others after that were doing is just not her thing. Um, I agree, Dirk. Three from Hell pulled the trilogy off the cliff, and nobody survived. That's what I can say. It pulled the whole thing off the cliff, and whoo, I don't think it can ever come back from that. Darren, you say there's a film called Slashers based on a Japanese game show that was released in 2001. Rob Zombie 31 ripped it off, in my opinion. I might see if Steve can get, if he doesn't already have it, get that Slashers. You say it was a game show. Maybe somebody has recorded some of the game shows or something. Oh, okay. You said it was a film based on a Japanese game show. Sorry about that. Of course, old Curly Jaws thinks Three from Hell was great, Dirk. uh, Seriously, Jay, your mom took you to a therapist for liking horror movies? Now, see, my mom would never do that because my mom grew up liking horror movies. Not so much now, but I mean, she was really into Friday the 13th, like the original Friday the 13th and stuff. Now, not so much. Um, and she used to like a lot of vampire films. Now, she watches LMN, or as I call it, the Women in Peril channel. And she likes, like paranormal stuff, like ghost stories and things like that. But she's really not into the slasher movies anymore like she once was. Um, oh, Curly Jaws, you say I liked all of Rob Zombie's films except for Lords of Salem. Uh, yeah, as I said before, I don't know actually what, maybe somebody can enlighten me. I don't exactly know what Rob Zombie was trying to do with Lords of Salem. It seemed to go in one direction, and then, like I said, it went just completely off the rails. And what in the heck was Bruce Davison doing in this movie? Because he was in Lords of Salem. I'm like, what the heck? Uh, Jay, you said my mom can't stomach Men in Black. Seriously. Ooh, your mom's really. I mean, I guess she thought, why is my son liking this stuff? Dirk, you say, what was the horror movie that pulled you in? Well, I would like to say it was the Evil Dead stuff, but there was other stuff that I saw prior to discovering Evil Dead that I would have to say pulled me in. And it was probably not one movie. It was probably a series of, or not a trilogy of the same type of film, but like, I saw Halloween. I saw Friday the 13th. I saw The Exorcist. And the culmination of all of those movies, plus then there were other movies that I've told you guys before in here that my parents went to drive-in movies. And in the early days of drive-ins, there were a lot of horror movies that played. And so my mom and dad pretty much had date night before date night was a thing. And they would go to drive-in movies. Even after I was born, and I was still quite young, and even after my brother was born, and he was an infant in a carrier, mom and dad still went to drive-in movies quite a bit. And I remember my dad talking about Gates of Hell or City of the Living Dead. And because of him talking about that movie and all the stuff that was in it, I had to see it and was so thrilled when I was actually able to rent it from a video store. And I remember early scenes of prom night. And so I was so thrilled when I got to watch prom night on VHS. And, I was probably one of the first people that bought the Blu-ray when it came out of prom night. Steve actually got me a vinyl record set with a lot of extras and stuff. I know I showed it on my, when I was talking about my horror vinyl. And so, it was just a culmination of things, and it was kind of like a snowball effect. The more I watched these movies, the more I got immersed in that culture, that horror film culture. And so I guess like I said, it wasn't really one film for me. It was a culmination of several different films. Dirk, you say Lords of Salem was an acid trip. Yeah, it certainly felt like an acid trip. Although I've never taken acid, so I don't know for sure. Darren, you said The Devil's Rejects is one of the best films of the last 20 years. I enjoy House of a Thousand Corpses too. Old Curly Jaws, you say, what was your thoughts on the Evil Dead remake? I thought it was the best in the franchise. Oh, Curly Jaws, you've opened up a can of worms for me. Again, if you like that Evil Dead remake, bless your heart. I hold no ill will towards you. Okay? But for me, the huge fan of the original series that I am, that was the biggest piece of shit I have ever seen, the biggest waste of my time. I actually went to the movie theater and saw this with Steve, and usually I don't want my money back, but after watching that, I wanted my money back. And not that I went up to them and demanded my money back, but I was like, there's a what, 90 minutes or a little bit more that of my life that I will never get back. I cannot believe that Sam Raimi embraced this remake. Just, if it had been called anything other than Evil Dead, it could have been called Spam in a Cabin for all I care. I probably wouldn't have hated it as much. But it's got the Evil Dead name. Sam Raimi gave his blessing for somebody to be able to remake his movie. And they basically shit all over it. I mean, I'm not expecting them to do a shot-for-shot remake. But the stuff about introducing the drug abuse and all that into it, instead of sticking with like the supernatural, the demons taking over and all that. I didn't like the characters. I don't think there was one character in the entire movie that I liked, that I could get behind. And usually when I can't do that, when I can't find one character that I like, that I want to see make it through to the end, then the movie just doesn't work for me. So that's my thoughts on that one. What did she say? Aaron Fry started saying evil. Dead 2 was better than the original, and I was like, what the fuck, son? um, Exorcist was one that scared my 8-year-old ass. I was hooked ever since. Now, I will admit, Dirk, that I was a little bit slightly older when I saw The Exorcist. My mom and dad like to tell this funny story. Well, actually, my dad likes to tell this funny story. When they back in their dating days, they went with another couple to a drive-in showing of The Exorcist, and my dad was fine. He kind of gets the heebie-jeebies about possession movies now, but back then it didn't really bother him in his teenage days, and so him and mom were just fine with it, and the other guy that was with him, his girlfriend was fine with it too, but he was scared to death. He was covering his eyes during most of the movie. I just find that so amusing every time Dad has told that story. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say you prefer the Prom Night remake over the original. Again, to each his own, and God bless you, old Curly Jaws, but I don't even think I've watched the Prom Night remake just because just seeing pieces of it looks so awful. I think I'll just stick with the original. Darren, you say, "Wow, I don't think anything tops the Evil Dead original in this series. That remake was awful." Darren, you and me both are on the same wavelength about that remake. Um, yes, I understand, but like, have a little integrity here. I still respect Sam Raimi. I still have the utmost respect, but geez Louise, I mean, come on. He could have had anybody do a remake, and he let these jokers make the piece of shit and call it the Evil Dead. Come on. There's no amount of, I mean, let me rephrase that. I would hope that if I ever became a director of the caliber of Sam Raimi, that I could say no to something if I thought it was going to be shit, no matter how much money they were offering to throw at me. I would hope that I could do that. Dirk, you say the Hills Have Eyes remake was pretty good. Actually, it was decent. I will say that. Sam, pay me. Darren, you say like John Carpenter needed weed money from the recent Halloween films. Yeah, unfortunately, I can believe that as well. I mean, John Carpenter was very nice when I met him, but you can tell he's under the influence of something, and I would imagine it would be weed. Dirk, you say I agree. Evil Dead 2 is better, but something about the original is creepier. Yeah, Dirk, and actually, I saw Evil Dead 2 before I saw Evil Dead, and I find Evil Dead 2 more fun than the first Evil Dead, and I think it's because, like you say, the original is creepier, and it's meant to be that way. I think pretty much the studios forced, or the MPAA, or whatever way you want to look at it, forced Sam Raimi to make it more comedic. But I think for Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, that works. If you want to go back and watch the gritty, creepier version of what the Evil Dead is, then go back and watch the original. Or heck, watch all three of them. Darren, you say, Dirk, I think The Hills Have Eyes is my favorite remake. Dirk, you say it's hard to choose. My favorite remake of all time is obvious The Thing. Oh, Curly Jaws, I did like the Evil Dead TV series. I thought I was not going to. I think mainly because I was so disappointed that after the remake and stuff came out, it pretty much cemented the fact that the fans weren't going to get an Evil Dead 4. Sam Raimi's just going to go ahead and make his comic book superhero movies and make things like Drag Me to Hell, which sadly, I hate to admit this, but I didn't like Drag Me to Hell either. I think it took all the great things from the Evil Dead movies and put them into an inferior movie with terrible actors and all that. But again, that's my opinion. Um, but I did like the Evil Dead TV series. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that they let you take a peek into what Ash had been up to since the events of the Evil Dead films. Dirk, you say 82 The Thing, just to be clear. I love the 1982 version of The Thing. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. The only types of movies I think really need to be remade, and keep in mind this is my opinion, are ones that are old. Don't remake a movie that's just been made in the previous year, which is what Hollywood tries to do, unfortunately, a lot of times, or maybe just a few years, and they want to remake something. With the thing like the thing, with a thing like the thing, with a film like the thing, the original came out in the 50s, and then John Carpenter really updated it special effects wise and everything with Rob Bottin's excellent special effects work in 1982. And The Fly, the same thing. I love what Cronenberg did with The Fly. The Fly was another movie that originally came out in the 50s, I believe. And so, another one, the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 70s version. I absolutely love that remake. I think that is so well cast with Brooke Adams and Donald Sutherland, Jeff Goldblum. Just almost, in my opinion, perfect remake. But there may be some of you that disagree with me on that, and that is entirely fine. Curly Jaws, you say, did you like Lake Placid and did you like the sequels? I love that franchise. Lake Placid was just okay for me, but I didn't really have any interest in watching the sequel, so I can't comment on those. Darren, you say, I forget that The Thing 82 was a remake, but hell, you can't argue with that. Jay, you say you prefer Suspiria 2018 over the original? Wow. Jay, I'm actually shocked at that, including the soundtrack. Am I doing this correctly? Which I totally respect your opinion on that. And I don't know. I still yet don't know how I feel about the Suspiria remake. I'm not a fan of it. I love Argento's original Suspiria. And I guess I just can't get that out of my mindset enough to be able to appreciate some of the things that people are appreciating in the 2018 version. You denounced Argento after seeing 2018 Suspiria. Um, Darren, you say I need to give Suspiria another chance. Original is my fave of all time. Well, she said, Jay, there can be only one old curly jaws, pal. Oh, man. Let's see. Well, she says Suspiria remake is good, though. I enjoyed it, oddly enough. I think Steve enjoyed it as well. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, I'm also on the spectrum. I prefer the Nightmare on Elm Street remake over the original after rewatching it. Ooh, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake is an excellent example of miscasting at its worst. Because, I like Jackie Earle Haley and a lot of other things, but not as Freddy Krueger. He just completely does not work for me. That was another movie where I didn't like any of the characters. The remake, of course, I'm talking about. And how some of the deaths were orchestrated just seemed sort of clumsy, in my opinion. So, yeah, I went to the movie theater and watched that. Wasn't too fond of it. Was not fond of it at all. Dirk, you say, I like Suspiria 2018 up until the end, but I respect that they tried a different direction. Dirk, you say, one thing about old Curly, you're going to get some laughs. Darren, you say, oh, Curly Jaws, please don't say the Fog remake is better than the original. So old Curly Jaws hadn't seen any of the Fogs. So you thought Jackie Earle Haley was a better Freddy after rewatching it. Definitely brings more seriousness to the character. I don't know. I guess Robert Englund will always be Freddy for me. I didn't buy Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy Krueger. But, like I said, to each his own, and I value everybody's opinion on stuff. Jay, you want to know old Curly's thoughts on the Creepshow series? Well, even though you didn't ask me, Jay, that reminded me that I need to get back into watching it again. But I really watched the heck out of the first season, and most of the episodes were really good of that. But there was one, what was it, The Man in the Suitcase or whatever? I absolutely hated that one. That one, out of all the ones that I've seen yet, that was the worst one. Very clumsily put together, it seemed like. And I thought the story was kind of stupid, and the characters were stupid in it. But for the most part, that first season was full of a lot of really good episodes. So, old Curly hasn't seen the Creepshow series. Oh, Curly, you like the Wrong Turn series? Now, I like the first Wrong Turn, and then I would have been okay if they never made another Wrong Turn. And that new one they made, I don't know what the heck they were trying to do with that thing. I don't think Steve liked that one too well either. Dirk, I agree. The Child's Play remake was horrible. I didn't get what exactly the hell they were trying to do with that thing. Because why was a kid that old wanting a good guy doll? That just seemed... and it wasn't like the... it wasn't like the Chucky show that's out now. Where the kid is kind of into all this horror stuff and kind of into making this weird, bizarre art, and he was using dolls to do it. the kid in the remake was like way too old to have a doll. And that was one thing that didn't work for me. The whole doll, the way they created the doll didn't work for me. It just a lot. It didn't work on a lot of levels for me. Um, what did she say? Oh, Curly Jaw's favorite creep show is part 3. um, but Jay, were you talking about the actual like the show or the show that's on Shudder, or were you talking about the movie series? Because if it's a movie series, I like 1 and 2, and I can forget about anything that came after. Okay, you're talking about the movie. Sorry about that. I gave you a rundown on what I thought about the shows. Um, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, old Curly Jaws. What's not to like about the original Creep Show? I mean, you've got Stephen King stories. You've got George Romero directing. You got Tom Savini doing special effects. I mean, you just, in my opinion, you can't go wrong. That was like lightning in a bottle stuff right there. Um, well, Dirk, I could see, a lot of millennials love the Child's Play remake better. Um, I don't really understand millennials. I'll just I'll just say that. True millennials, not just these people that just call themselves millennials, but the people that have whatever this belief system that the millennials have. I don't understand it. I don't guess I ever will understand it. Um, Darren, you say you enjoy Creepshow 2 over the original. Don't shoot me, lol. No, I think that's interesting. I like to hear when, so you're not picking the first one. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because Creepshow 2 has some great stories as well. The Raft. I mean, how could you not like that one? Um, and the Hitchhiker, Old Chief Woodenhead. I mean, come on, those three are great stories as well, as much as the original has great stories. And part two could be tightened up a little bit because they weren't dealing with as many stories. They had 5 stories in the original Creep Show. And I think it was a wise decision that they tightened it up and only had 3 stories in part 2. Let's see. Jay, you say I should host an unpopular opinion roundtable. Oh boy, yeah, maybe. Curly Jaws, you say I love the Friday the 13th remake. Okay, well, I will say the Friday the 13th remake is tolerable for me. The first time I watched it, I didn't like it. The second time I watched it, I actually enjoyed it. Jay, you say Zoomers are the youngins. Brad, you say the Rat from Creepshow 2 is the best story in the franchise, in my opinion. Curly Jaws, you say, I think I'm the only one on the planet that prefers Jaws the Revenge over the original. Oh, well, I wouldn't say that, Curly Jaws. I mean, I'm sure there's other huge fans of Jaws the Revenge out there. And again, I'm not being facetious about that. I mean, I enjoy Jaws the Revenge for what it is. But I think part of the reason that Jaws, the original Jaws, will always hold a special place in my heart is because that was a movie that my dad and I watched. Every time it came on TV, we watched it. No matter what we were doing, we would sit down and watch it. And I think probably a lot of you guys and gals um, have other movies that, you know, if you were close to one or both of your parents, that there are movies that you remember, you know, enjoying with your parents, or maybe just one parent. I mean, Phantasm was another movie that I watched with my dad. Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead. I know Aaron has talked about this in the past, uh, having a close relationship with his dad and them watching Dawn of the Dead and stuff. So I think a lot of us, particularly us horror fans, um, will tend to have a closeness with a parent, or possibly maybe both of your parents are into the horror films, um, on that level of horror films. And it's just, I don't know, you know, other things, people might say, ooh, that's weird, you know, the horror films warm your heart because you watched them with your dad or whatever. But I also watched several horror films with my mom as well. That I, you know, there was a time period when I was still living at home with my parents where my dad was working a really weird late shift. He wouldn't get home until about 11 p.m. at night. So my mom and I spent a lot of that, we filled in that time where dad wasn't home watching movies together. And I would pull out all these horror movies and we would watch them. We'd rewatch some of our favorites, or I would end up sneaking an Italian film or something like Burial Ground in there. And my mom would fall asleep and wake up at the end when Peter Bark was biting his mama's booby off and say what happened. I mean, I have lots of great stories like that. But Darky says Street Trash and Frankenhooker both need sequels. I actually like Frankenhooker better than I do Street Trash. I thought I was going to actually like Street Trash better than I actually ended up liking it. Jay say, Dirk, they perfect one-offs, dripping down the wall, no need to go back. Darren, you said Michael Caine made Jaws 4 to pay for his house. Jaws stalking people for hundreds of miles away. It's a fun one for sure. Yeah, it, you know, and the fact that great white sharks hold grudges, that they're gonna haunt the Brody family for the rest of their lives. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say Scream 4 is my favorite. Seen it with my mom. Steve watched Scream 4 again in preparation for the new Scream that came out, and he likes it, but I don't much care for it. But I did enjoy the new one that came out. Dirk, you say, what's the best horror movie that's came out in the past 5 years, in y'all's opinion? The past 5 years. Were the Conjuring movies, or that was the first Conjuring movie earlier than that? Was it more than 5 years? Because I've got a lot of ones that have came out in probably the last few years or so that I have grown to appreciate. Malignant is one that was more recent. See, it's hard for me to pick one. The Conjuring movies, of course, are the first Conjuring for sure, but I don't know if that's in that 5 year range. And I also like, you know, some of the creepy ass stuff that was in the Atticus Institute. I don't know how many of y'all have seen that. The Taking of Deborah Logan is another one. Again, I don't know if all those are in that 5 year range, but oh, Curly Jones mentioned Tusk. Oh, I could go on a rant about Tusk, but I won't. Oh gosh, Wes, are you kidding me? See, I'm ribbing Wes again. Midsummer. I hated Hereditary so much that I refused to watch Midsummer, but I think Steve watched it. Last Night in Soho. Dang, I forgot about that one, Darren. That one's very, very good as well. Dirk, you say, I hear you. Mine's Hereditary, but Midsummer is right there. I don't know what. Must be something wrong with me then. I hated Hereditary. I thought that whole family was a bunch of whiny, uh, messed up people. I don't know. It was just annoyed me, I guess. Brad, you said The Lodge. I'm trying to think if I saw The Lodge. I probably did. Um, Jay, you said probably Hereditary. Green Room hit me in the PTSD. Uh, Darren, you say Game Over, the Indian slasher film from 2019 is up there. Oh yeah, Game Over. Yeah, I like that one. I really really enjoyed the twist of that one. I had completely forgotten about that till you brought that up. Well, she said, dude, Midsummer is a classic. Maybe I need to give it a try. I don't know. But like I said, I hated Hereditary so much that I didn't think I could sit through another one of that guy's movies. So, um, I did. Oh, Curly Jaws! I did see the trailer for X, and it did pique my interest and makes me want to watch it. Now, I may not feel the same way after seeing it, but I am anticipating watching that film. Um, but guys, I know I didn't talk too much about Terror on Tour, but if we get together this commentary, Lord knows I will talk a lot about it. But we've had a really good conversation. I've had a lot of fun. But I was just glancing at the time. It is now 11:01, and I've got to get settled down for the night because I do have to work tomorrow evening. Um, but Dirk, you say Hereditary and Midsummer have a lot of hidden stuff. You have to watch it a couple of times. Um, and maybe that's what I need to do, Dirk. Maybe I need to go back and make myself rewatch Hereditary and give Midsummer a try. Uh, but guys, I think I'm gonna skedaddle out of here for now. I thank you guys for stopping in and hanging out with me for a couple hours, just about. Wes, you say Steve's been asleep for 6 hours. Well, actually, Steve goes and lays down or lies down, but he doesn't. He doesn't actually go to sleep per se until about 8 o'clock. Um, Darren, you have a good night too. Oh Lord, it's 4 a.m. Ah, jeez, I'm keeping you up too late, Darren. Um, Thank you, Dirk. This has been a fun one, and this was just like a just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. That's pretty much what this one was. I don't like to not have some kind of background theme going, but you guys have made this really enjoyable for me. I want to do this again sometime soon. Thank you, old Curly Jaws, and I promise you I will try to work my way up to rewatching the Evil Dead remake. Steve does have, I believe Steve has a 4K of that now, so maybe I'll pull that out and watch it. Good night, Jay. I did have a fun time chatting with all you guys. Um, but I'm going to call it a night, and I hope you get some rest, Darren. Whew, 4 a.m. Uh, but y'all have a good night, and I will see you next time. I appreciate all the conversation too, Dirk. Y'all have a good night.